Today we are talking about the Floyd Rose Trem Stopper. Really not the name brand, it's the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, but generally they serve the purpose. And with the spirit of this Kramer being a extremely cheap guitar, I figured I might as well stick with the cheap tremolo blocker as well. Now the Floyd Rose that I have on the Kramer is the one that comes with it, which is the Floyd Rose Special, which is really not that special when it comes to materials and how it's made, but it is functional, especially if you do what's called blocking the trim. Now, some people will block the trim both ways. When you block your trim both ways, generally the metal guys do that, and it really defeats the purpose of even having a Floyd Rose, because if you have a Floyd Rose, you're going to want to do that type of thing, but some people don't want to do that, and they still have a Floyd Rose, which makes no sense to me. I guess it's a little bit better tuning stability, but it's not worth all the pain for such little gain. But anyway, what you can do though is what Eddie Van Halen did in theory, just in a different way. We'll get to that, but only go down. That's what Eddie Van Halen did. He can only go wow, not wow. He just only down. So that is the way that I like it. That's the way that the EVH PV that I had was set up, and really it's just so much easier in general just to only go down, because then you don't have to worry about floating the bridge. Now, why is floating the bridge the devil? Because you have to find the perfect balance of string tension and spring tension. I don't mix my springs and my strings, okay? I like to only go down. So really, whenever you block the tremolo, which is what I'm going to do, you're effectively doing what a normal Stratocaster would do, except instead of the body blocking it, because the Floyd Rose is cut out into the body, you actually have to stop the brass block, or in my case, the pot metal Chinese stainless steel block. So really the only advantages to having that floating tremolo is being able to do dime bag squeals. And I don't do dime bag squeals. I play in a 90s country band who does like 2 or 3 rock songs. Hello?
So on?
No, I didn't happen to see that.
Okay. Those are probably on the way. Once you get those, go ahead and do that.
Excuse me, that was a call letting me know that I'd been accepted into a program at college, so yippee. But the Floyd Rose floating tremolo system is a direct copy of the technology used by Leo Fender, with one major caveat. They route the body out so that you can't just lock it down like you can on the Fenders. Why? I don't know. You know, some of the early Floyds were able to be locked down, and, you know, for sure all the ones that Van Halen used. But if you buy a modern Floyd Rose guitar, particularly these budget Kramers, and you try to just lock it down and to where the back of the bridge hits the body, it's not designed to do that, and it doesn't work very well. So you have to get what's called a trim block. So a trim block screws into the back of the body where the springs are and has a little Allen wrench extendable screw, pretty much, that will allow you to block off that trim so it hits the back and levels out. And the reason why people do this is because they're just like me. They get tired of floating bridges, number one. But number two, if you're a country player or a kind of southern rockish type player, you're going to want to block off your Floyd Rose. Now, are you going to be playing a Floyd Rose in the first place? That's questionable. But if you are, this is inevitable, because whenever you're playing a perfectly set up floating Floyd Rose and you bend up a whole step to do a double stop bend, you go in and grab the note under, it's out of tune. Why? Because that bridge is moved up like that. I can't stand that, so I like to play in tune, and therefore I'm going to be blocking off this tremolo. So let's get on with the process. So we've got one spring that we have to remove. And can this be adequate with 2 springs to hold this bridge up? Well, to be honest, I really don't know. So we're going to try it out. Lots of tension, lots of flinching. We'll pull the spring out. All right, now we've got what we need as far as our space goes, but now we need to check and see whether we are still level, and I promise you we are not. So as you guys can see, we are not level anymore. So to get the tension right on this Floyd Rose bridge, we have moved this to make it 2 springs on one side and 1 on the other. Now, does this really matter a whole lot how you do it exactly? Not really. It really matters how you go about getting your tension set. So, you know, there's thousands of different spring combinations, and I've even seen people that have 2-spring Floyd Roses. But with these stock springs on the Chinese guitars, you're not going to get that. So now we're going to install the Trem stopper. This is the most terrible process I've ever done in my life. You know, we haven't even got to the worst part of this. I'm already starting to regret my decisions of even going and buying this Kramer. The main reason is just because it's just work. It's work and money. You know, that's all you do on them. And it's just little tiny thousandth of an inch turns until you get this Trem stopper put in. But I can't not have the Trem stopper because the Trem stopper is imperative to getting this thing to play in tune consistently. So it's a real conundrum that I've got myself into when I should have just left the Facebook Marketplace listing alone. We've now gone to the guitar on my lap strategy, and we're getting about 2/4 more turn out of the Allen wrench. When are they going to automate Allen wrenches? And what I mean is, you know how they have those things where it's like a 90-degree drill bit that you can stick on here? When are they going to give me an Allen wrench that does that, so I don't have to sit here and just one little microscopic turn at a time do this when I'm installing a bridge stopper, not a bridge stopper, on my $200 Chinese guitar? When are they going to do that? I would almost pay what I paid for the guitar for a system of Allen wrenches that would allow me to not have to do this every single time. That would be just simply incredible. Oh, I felt contact. Let's go. I have officially made contact with the bridge. In real terms, I have officially moved this screw about 2/16 of an inch in 10 minutes of wrenching. So that is a win for me in this scenario. Because I'm telling you, Floyd Rose maintenance and modification is not for the faint of heart. You guys are never going to believe this. I have managed to move the bridge too much. What an accomplishment. You know, I'm kind of proud of myself, but at the same time I'm mad because I'm going to have to unscrew it 1/16 of a turn at the time. The Floyd Rose is like an ex-girlfriend that you can't stop getting back together with. You know, the possibilities of what life could be like overshadow the sheer pain and agony. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Stratocaster was one of the greatest inventions of all time when it comes to guitar. It was absolutely revolutionary. But on the flip side, it gave us these terrible, terrible angles to work with when it comes to screw driving. And really, it really shows through whenever you strip the screw completely out, and then you have to manually screw in and apply as much pressure as humanly possible in order to get it right. So what I've done here is basically gone from not being able to palm mute comfortably to being able to plant my palm there and mute as much as I want to and not worry about bending the strings back out of tune. The reason why a lot of rock players hate the floating tremolo is because whenever you go to stick your palm on there, it goes out of tune. Also, I can now double stop bend Tuesday's Gone. Or Or I can, go a step and a half. Without going out of tune. Why? Because I can plant my palm on that block and don't have to worry about going out of tune. It's not going anywhere. But then I can also get, oh yeah, that sweet and luscious sound. So amid all this chaos, I seemingly need to adjust the neck now for whatever reason. Guys, it's really never simple with these things. And so, luckily, I stopped at my good friend's Miller Hardware the other day and picked up a nice, good-sized wrench that goes right down in that slot. Alright guys, after about an hour and a half of absolutely brutal mechanicking, tuning, and tweaking on this Floyd Rose guitar, I finally got it to stay in tune and play in tune. It took immense patience. It took contemplation of why I even play this instrument, things that I could be doing other than tweaking this Floyd Rose for this YouTube video, and really, honestly, contemplations of throwing this thing against the wall as hard as I could, chopping it up for firewood, and never worrying about a Floyd Rose guitar ever again. But something in the back of my mind says, Walker, you must be able to. If not for that something, this thing would not exist. We got children watching this program, boy.